Hello everyone, and welcome to my Triamid Stun showcase. I recently got a five win streak in the second stage of the Duelist Cup with this. This video will include a card by card explanation, combo tutorials, and replays, and a brief synopsis of the deck. But first, I would like to give my deepest thanks to the Discord user I Get Nasty for all the info they provided me about Triamids. And now on to the synopsis of the deck. First, I'm going to go over some favorable matchups and outcomes. This is a bit difficult to answer since it's so dependent if they can out your floodgates like Summon Limit and Power Stone and Dyna. But it's usually favorable against other beatdown decks as most monsters can't beat over Sphinx. Sphinx right here. And gives Dancer. Just Dancer right here. It gives Dancer time to scale your monsters and it can usually outgrind other recycling decks, but not the build that you're seeing here. Against more meta decks, it doesn't handle non-destruction removal well. So Kaiju's Underworld Goddess, Super Poly, or anything that sends to the grave or banishes or bounces regularly will pretty much ruin you. Your best outcome is pretty much making a bunch of big stat monsters on board and hoping the opponent can't do anything about it. You're basically normal hunter with a field and normal either. Dancer or Dyna and pray they can't break your board. Uh, maybe if they see you're playing floodgates, they'll surrender, which is technically the best outcome, really. Now, Triamid Stun is a beatdown / control deck that does recycling loops that really emphasizes resource grinding, expending resource to hinder the opponent on their turn, and then recycling them on yours to build a bigger board, and wins by ignoring the floodgate aspect, building up big rock monsters on the field, and recycling Triamid monsters and field spells in the grave. The field spells are an integral part of this, as they give a lot of benefits while on the field and when removed from the field. You may be wondering why would I want to play Triamids against any other deck? Well, the biggest reason I play them is the recycling aspect that really emphasizes resource grinding. Expending resources to hinder the opponent on their turn and then recycling them on yours to build a bigger board. I've always liked that cycle with cards like Prank Kids Pranks or the Noble Field spell. The Triamids also generate a ton of advantages as said above for recycling slash looping the Triamid field spells, which can summon, add, and protect your Triamid monsters. But sadly, a lot of meta nowadays is too fast for a deck like this, which is why floodgates are necessary to make it work. Comparing it to the modern equivalent of resource grind decks like Labyrinth, 500 attack or 500 defense and shuffled back into the deck just isn't enough. You may be wondering, how do the Triamids work? Well, the Triamid game plan is specifically ignoring the floodgate aspect of the deck, is building up big rock monsters on the field and recycling Triamid monsters and field spells in the graveyard. The field spells are an integral part of this as they give a lot of benefits while on the field and when removed from the field. I will now explain how each individual Triamid card works. First, we're going to go over all the spells and traps of Triamid. So Triamid King Golem right here. King Golem is the offensive option that gives 500 attack and stops reactions to Triamid's attacking. And when it's sent to the graveyard, summons a Triamid monster from your hand. It's very useful all around. Next, Triamid Fortress. Triamid Fortress is the defensive option that gives plus 500 defense and protects Triamids from card effect destruction. And once into the graveyard, adds a Triamid from grave to hand. Fairly situational, so that's why you'll see it at 2 usually. Now Triamid Cruiser. Cruiser is the archetype's main draw power in Searcher in 1 because it lets you draw 1 and discard 1 when you summon a Triamid and searches a Triamid when it's sent to the graveyard. Now Triamid Pulse. The Triamid Pulse is Triamid's only control option. The Pulse, which requires you to banish rock monsters or field spells from grave for mediocre interruptions, which the base deck has no way to get back unless you're playing Nemesis Keystone. Now Triamid Loading. Triamid Loading, which became an insane consistency tool for the deck as it searches a trap or a field spell when you activate a field spell, and replaces any rock monster destroyed on the field with a Triamid monster from deck. Now onto the monsters. Now Triamid Hunter. Triamid Hunter gives you another normal summon, which is insane. This extra normal can allow you to summon Dinah but before you summon Dinah, you can get Sphinx on field, so your opponent can't out it by attacking it. Hunter can also get Fortress to protect Dinah, and the Triamid monsters are King Golem, which can further increase your rock monster's attack. Now Triamid Master. Master can send a face-up Triamid card to grave to pop a set back row. This is actually horrible, but he has the most attack. He can also help against trap decks, and also can help recycle your Triamid field spells on your turn. Now Triamid Dancer. Dancer is the mainstay of the deck by shuffling a Triamid card from grave to deck to buff all rocks on the field. It's for 500 attack and 500 defense. She's the game plan every time. Now Triamid Sphinx is a weird card. It only summons from the hand or through loading when a Triamid is destroyed, and is a beefy boy that gains 500 for every Triamid field in the grave, and makes all attacks target him. Now, you may be wondering, how do the floodgates and Triamids help and work together? Well, in this version of the deck, you're basically setting up floodgates that severely hinder a possible opponent's game plans and protect them at all costs. Cards like Fossil Dinah get buffed by effects like Dancer and the field spells as Seize a Rock. Power Sink Stone is a skill drain that only turns on after 2 monster effects have been activated, which this deck does a lot of. Summon Limit tries to keep the opponent from being able to get out extra deck monsters that can out your floodgates. Basically, the floodgates allow your Triamid monsters to generate a ton of advantage over time. Now we're going to get onto the card by card, why ratios are what they are, and explanations of thought decisions. Now first we're going to get onto Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. This card helps a ton going second. It can effectively kill most meta decks without their top extra deck cards. This is why you see it here. The extra deck, and this is why the extra deck, but I'm only running the main 7 monsters that you actually kind of need. But the rest can be like meta staples. Now we're going to go on to 3 Triamid Dancer. As I said above, Dancer is the mainstay of the deck. By shuffling a Triamid card from grave to deck to buff all rocks on the field, 500. She's the game plan every time. Now, Triamid Hunter. We're playing 3 Triamid Hunter. Hunter gives you another normal summon, which is insane. This extra normal can allow you to summon Dino, but before you summon Dino, you can Sphinx on the field, so your opponent can't out it by attacking into Dinah. And Hunter can also get you Fortress on the opponent's turn to protect Dinah. And the Triamid monsters, or you can get King Golem, which can further increase your rock monster's attack, including Dinah. Now Master. We're only playing 2 Master because Master, it's not really useful. It's pretty horrible, but he has the most attack. But it can help a bit against back row decks. Now 2 Fossil Dinah. You could play probably 3. Cards like Fossil Dinah can get buffed by effects like Dancer and the field spells. And he's a rock. It also helps you insulate your Triamid plays. Now Triamid Sphinx. It only summons from hand or from loading when a Triamid is destroyed. He is also a beefy boy that gains 500 attack and defense for every Triamid field. in the grave. It makes all attacks target him. Now onto the spells and traps. First, I'm going to explain the pot cards. The deck doesn't use the extra deck almost at all, except an occasional Gorgonic Guardian, as you don't want to lose your buffs on your monsters, and the deck's lack of drop power outside of Cruiser is why they have every pot card imaginable. I basically explained the Triamid field spells already, on why we're running them at what they are. And now we're going to get onto Dimension Fisher. This is pretty self-explanatory since we're seeing a lot of graveyard decks that rely on the graveyard, like Snake Eyes, Super Heavy Samurai, and such. Summon Limit. Summon Limit tries to keep the opponent from being able to get out extra deck monsters that can out your floodgates. Now Power Sink Stone. Power Sink Stone is a skill drain that only turns on after 2 monster effects have been activated, which this deck does a lot of. It also stacks from your Triamid monster swapping field spells, so you can consistently keep it active on your opponent's turn. And now Evenly Matched. It's pretty self-explanatory why it's here. It's just a good board breaker. As stated above, the deck doesn't use the extra almost at all, except an occasional Gorgonic Guardian, as you don't want to lose your buffs on your monsters, and the deck's lack of draw power outside of Cruiser is why they have every pot card imaginable. So yeah, the extra deck can just be targets for Winter Cherries. Like you can play Hugin. You can play some of the Sword Soul cards. Whatever's meta, just basically like meta cards that meta decks use in the extra deck. So that's pretty much the explanation of the main deck. Now we're going to go on to the replays. Hello everyone, and welcome to the replay section of the deck. As you can see in my hand, I completely fucking bricked. I got so lucky drawing Cruiser and Summon Limit. Summon Limit carried this matchup since he's playing Utopias. Whatever the fucking XYZ, yeah, this Utopias. Here I tried to get Nightmare Phoenix so he couldn't pop my back row. Yeah, but I was completely winning from the start unless he didn't pop it. Now I just did the usual Triamid plays. We just attacked. Now on this turn he's gonna make we got a pretty good draw off that. And then we activate Sphinx. Sphinx is pretty good here. So if we get Dino on field, which we will later in the replay, he can't attack into it, he can't attack into it, so he can't out the floodgate. So he can only attack Sphinx here. And look here, I got Dino off of Cruiser, and now I'm pretty much winning. He couldn't negate the attack there because if it didn't have any materials, you have to destroy Utopia, number 39. Here, he tried to destroy it, but I went into Fortress, and now his effect pretty much got negated because of his effect pretty much got negated because he tried to destroy my Sphinx, and then I cycled into Fortress which doesn't allow my monsters to be targeted. So even though he activated it, it didn't resolve, so he surrendered there. Yeah, but we were completely winning if he didn't because we had Dyna and we were gonna OTK. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck showcase. I should probably mention that this deck isn't very good, but if you know how to play it properly and like the deck's not rocket science, it's pretty easy to play, but it doesn't compete against the top decks, but sometimes It doesn't compete against the top deck since the deck is very slow and it has to rely on like floodgates and stuff. But if you can get it working, the deck is actually pretty good if you can get your floodgates up and such. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend making this deck unless you want to like make it to have fun and such. It's not very good for climbing.